Hello, everyone. Welcome to Service Designing Tech. I'm Rita Servetto, a service designer working at Calusa. So, before we dive into the talk, I wanted to do a little warm up exercise as if we were in the same room. Initially, this was going to be a one to one situation, face to face, but here we are, COVID in it. So, what I'd like to do first is ask you to please grab a piece of paper, or maybe you can open a note on your computer. And I want you to jot down what's in your mind. This can be either a task or a thought or a feeling, something that's just right there. I'll give you a minute to do it. You good? Thank you. Thanks for that. The reason we've done that is so that we're allowing our brains to focus in the next half an hour together. And that thought will still be there by the time I'm done. So I wanted to start by showing you where I work. This is an office that I miss a lot. I haven't been there for 4 months now. It feels like ages. So I work at a company called Calusa. Calusa is part of the OVO group, and Calusa is a tech company. My main role as a service designer at Calusa is to make sure that the platform we're building works, obviously, effectively, but also it's useful to its users, both energy retailers and end users like you or me consuming energy. Our platform needs to serve millions of people, as I've said, different people. And these people need to accomplish things like moving home and sorting their energy in their new place. And what happens if someone unfortunately dies? The account needs to change owner, or how can we help users avoid debt by explaining how to manage their energy better? Energy really is quite connected to how people feel about their finance and how comfortable they are with that. So it's less transactional than what it seems on the surface. I really enjoy being a service designer in this space. Um, but what was I doing before? So this is a picture of me in 2017. That's actually a unicorn hoodie. You can't see it, but if you put it over your head, it has a horn. Anyway, so when I saw the job description a year and something ago, this was my reality. I came from agency, I came from consultancy, from maybe smaller projects that would end eventually. Like this one, for example, as I was saying. So this is for a pharmacy where we did a piece on discovery around prescriptions. So it involved going into the pharmacy and interviewing people and talking to people in the back office and to customers, just being out there. And I love that. We went across the country, and this is all I knew. I did similar projects for the NHS Blood and Transplant Organization and insurance at the co-op, and just awesome places to really go and learn and try different approaches to user centricity and human-centered design. The thing is that I was worried about not having any background in energy when I saw the job description at Calusa. So yeah, I felt that I wasn't going to do it well, and I felt that all the designers that I knew either worked in consultancy or government. I just didn't know where to turn. In any case, I thought that the opportunity was really tempting, so I went in. When I went in, though, my leap of faith was rewarded. This is a little group picture of the amazing crew, the awesome, incredible crew of UX designers across OVA Group. Massive shout out to Paul Matson, Ben Garvey-Caban, and James Cook. You're probably watching this. You're awesome, and you helped me find my feet really fast. What I found when I joined OVO was an amazing group of people, of UXers, doing work around specific touchpoints and specific journeys. What I wanted to do upon joining was to solve problems at a more end-to-end way, or in a more holistic way, looking at journeys that maybe touch several touch points at the same time. UXers and designers are not that different, really. So we both uncover needs, really, and we're trying to solve problems for people. However, service designers take a look at business process as well, and we take a look at other users, not only the user interacting with one touch point. I'd say that's how I see the main difference. Service designers also borrow tools from user research, from change management, from rapid prototyping with almost anything, business analysis, even theater, actually. And this, what you can see here, is my favorite method of service prototyping called body storming. I absolutely love it. It's a fancy title for acting. It can be a way to immerse yourself in the environment of this service, so you can maybe go and be a patient in a hospital to see what it's like, but it can also be recreating that environment and experiencing it in your own space. What you see here is us acting out what it's like to move home all of the parties involved, the customer care agent, finance, everyone was in the room. And we were playing it, the whole thing end to end, seeing where the pain points were and what the improvements could be. This is the kind of stuff that I was hoping to do more and more, but from the beginning. So it was really hard to define how to do this kind of work from the beginning, how to do end-to-end design when teams weren't set up that way necessarily. So yeah, that was a challenge at the beginning. So how could I add value? I was looking online for advice. I read some reports on the value of business in design. This is one from McKinsey. I recommend it, of course. And also the John Maeda's reports on design in tech. They're great. The challenge is that I couldn't find anything to apply. So I wanted to practice something. After trying different things, / failing at different things, I noticed that service design really has certain methods that need to change. As soon as you go in tech, they need to change. Especially research. My methods essentially needed to change to allow for two things: speed and resistance. So what do I mean by speed? What do I mean by speed? I mean agile product development. I mean being surrounded by product-focused people that are thinking delivery, not necessarily human-centered design. It was very different to working in consultancy. It's a different environment. People focused on shipping product rather than asking what we need to build. Iteration and learning from working code is really good. It's great. I'm not saying that's bad at all. But it can mean that people get caught up in building. This talk from Melissa Perry is quite good. It's about the concept of build trap. She's written a book about this too. And it's when people keep asking, what's the next thing? What should we build? What should we build? And forget actually to go outside and check in with customers to see if what's being built is really, really useful. The danger of the build trap felt very real to me at the beginning, probably because of my untrained eyes to be inside a tech company. And yeah, I wasn't used to it. Resistance to do research felt like the evil twin of speed. They would always show up together. To be fair, it's not uncommon. It's not something that just happens in some companies. 40% of companies admitted to not talking to their end users during development, according to this report. But I don't trust reports, not all of them necessarily. So I wanted to sense check with colleagues, people that I work with and that I know personally. And I asked them if they thought that things needed to change in the way that designers work with product and tech. Most people said yes. And most people said that we're going in the right direction, so that's okay. And the second biggest group said that drastic changes needed. An interesting quote that I want to share with you was, as a researcher within a top-down hierarchical company that focuses on sales over user experience, it feels nearly impossible to push for more research activities. The good news is that there is method in the madness. It wasn't just crazy running towards delivery mode. What I was seeing, what I was witnessing, was people in a product team delivering code based on a roadmap. And that's the method in the madness. If you can participate in the creation of that roadmap and contributing to it and shaping it, then you can avoid the well-me's, I call them, the well-me's that a fast, iterative, agile approach can bring on to you as a service designer. You will essentially have less resistance because you'll know what happens when. I was a bit too happy with myself when I discovered this, so I thought I'd check in with someone else. I want to introduce you to Radina. I used to work with her in a previous life in consultancy. So I asked her if she thought that the only way to do meaningful research was by having a roadmap. She's currently a user researcher at N26 in Berlin. This is her take on roadmaps and research.
I agree and disagree because there's two types of research. One is generative, that informs the roadmap, and the other one is evaluative, that is actually just validating whether what was on the roadmap made sense. And they go hand in hand. So while I am doing generative research, like explorative and answering big strategic questions, I'm also running user interviews just to do usability testing on things that we've researched the previous quarter. It quite messes with my mind to zoom in and zoom out of these big questions and small questions, but it's actually a good interplay. And it's good to play back to the team as well and keep everyone engaged about the big questions that are informing the vision and also the small usability questions that are informing their day-to-day work.
So is that it? Roadmaps? That's the solution to doing service design in tech? Nope. Adapting your research to fit for roadmaps is one thing. You will also find that you have to adapt ideation methods and prototyping methods and all of the other things that you used to do before need to allow for speed and resistance now. So I've been keeping the most important thing for last. What's crucial, what I found to be most important for me to do service design in tech was to think of the people I work with as my most important asset. They would help me find my way around the organization, and they could point out what the driving forces were around the organization to make sure added value. Coming from agency or consultancy means that maybe, like me, you have a little bit of inertia, so you're always performing, and it's always, for the client. It turns out that when you join, you have to turn that down and listen and be open and receive feedback and meet people. It doesn't come naturally at all. So I'm not going to tell you to do it because I didn't know how to do it. I'm going to let Camila explain it in her words. I asked her what advice she would give someone like me.
Use your first 90 days in a new company, but I'd give this kind of advice to anybody, either joining a remote team or somebody joining in a pre-COVID situation. The first 3 months you have in a company are the best because you get to question everything and challenge everything, and nobody tells you anything. Everybody's pretty open to your feedback because you have fresh eyes and you have a new perspective on things. Ask lots of questions. There are no stupid questions, and most definitely not for the first 3 months. So ask, don't be afraid, don't be shy. Use your first 3 months.
I personally used my first couple of months in doing a service blueprint. I'd recommend that approach. It worked really well, and it meant that my first batch of allies came to find me soon after I started. What I did was define the purpose and scope of the map with my amazing product director, Cassie, shout out, thank you very much. And then I conquered a massive space in the hallway of where we work, very public, where everyone walks. Unfortunately, it was on the way to the bathroom, but that's another story. So then I stuck 4 meters of paper on the wall. And on this picture, you can see how it kept iterating. So I'd send it to print, send it back, and update it, and bring people to the wall. And it got people from customer care, from the BAs, from different parts of the business commenting on how useful a map like this could be. On this picture, you can see someone pointing at their own map. So people picked the format and made their own version. So the people that got in touch as a result of the map were not the end. That's not, making friends is important, but that's not the point. What was valuable about that is the feedback that I got from them. So Nina, for example, design lead at Calusa, spoke to me about her view on how service design adds value at different levels. That's another takeaway. I'll let her explain. She does it better than me.
Service design is essential at a level across multiple teams to kind of connect dots between teams and connect dots between the organization. With service design, I think it's, having that documentation at each level, from team to squad to org to, and numbers of entities that you work with, is important, but you can't possibly kind of present that information all the time to everyone whenever. So I think the job of service design is to say, okay, well, we have these living artifacts, these things that document what's going on, and we have them at different levels.
You know who else is awesome? Product people. And by that I mean maybe product managers or product owners. They have different names in different companies. But to really get into their mindset and see how alike we are, designers and product managers, I recommend the book Inspired by Marty Kagan. Very, very good book. And it'll show you how passionate product managers are about solving problems, people problems. You could pair that up with Lean UX and good services. So you have a view of how to do UX inside tech and good services to make sure you stay true to designing holistic experiences that allow people to get to the goal that they have. Inside Lean UX and Inspired, you'll maybe pick up something called Dual Track Agile. Dual Track Agile is probably my biggest find of 2020. It's allowed me to connect with people that are very close to the Agile methodology and be able to speak to them about user needs and be able to talk to them about discovery. The method essentially allows for research and product delivery to be happening at the same time. You have 2 tracks, as you can see here, and the discovery backlog, as you're finding what problems are there, you can feed some of them, validated ideas, into the delivery backlog. So it goes really fast. It moves onto the speedy layer of the tracks, and it gets shipped, and then you learn from it. It's amazing, but it's really hard to implement. After having shared the idea with people at work, we're all talking about how we can make this happen across the company so all teams feel equipped to run dual track. If you want to know more about where Calusa or myself are headed, I recommend watching this talk from our design director. Her name's Yolanda Martin Olivas, and she used to work at Farfetch before and has loads of experience building platforms and using service design actually as a tool for organizational change. It's very interesting. You can use a shortened link as well if you want to type it in, watch it later. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to wrap it up here. What I really hope is that you say yes to a challenging role in tech in the coming months, maybe years. I hope that you feel that you can adapt your methods to different environments so you can reshape them and make them more flexible to fit for speed and resistance. And I also have loads to learn, so please tell me what you know. Get in touch. All my details are somewhere near this video, so I'd love to hear from you and learn how to make tech more human-centered. That's all, friends. My God, this was nerve-wracking. It's over now. Thank you so much. Have a great day.